Hello, everybody. I do have a trigger warning with this video. Some information that I'm going to share may be disturbing to some. So please take care of yourself. And if you think it's going to be triggering, you can tell by the thumbnail what the video is going to be about. So if you think it's going to be triggering, please just watch the next video or something and just take care of yourself because I totally understand. This is a different type of video than I normally do. But since it happened in Oklahoma and it allegedly has, I can't talk as normal, a cult component, it kind of really hit close to home. So I'm going to go ahead and cover that. And we'll get ready to get started. Okay, welcome to But First Coffee, Susie Oberholtz. If you're new to my channel, we meet here several times a week. Sometimes it's every day, but sometimes it's just every other day or so. And we talk about things that I'm thinking about and topics that interest my chat and the commenters, everybody that subscribes or just comes by to look. And we have created just a wonderful community of friends here. I've got my notes, y'all. This first part I have to really struggle with. We've created a wonderful little community here, and we would like to welcome you to that. And just hit the like and subscribe, hit the notifications so you do get notified whenever I'm going to go live, because I do tend to do it kind of randomly. I've not really hit any kind of a schedule yet. Anyway, normally my videos are about our shared desire to revoke Scientology's tax exempt status and eventually put them completely out of business, and to help rescue the members that are stuck in the cult now. So that's our main thing. We do also support the former cult members and us never ends that have never been in but are completely consumed with taking down this cult. It is a dangerous, dangerous cult. Not the cult we're going to talk about today, though. I also keep you up to date on my 13-year, 3-time diagnosis with breast cancer, stage 3B, and just kind of keep you up on that health journey. And sometimes I throw in a haul here and there. So, whether it be Temu or Amazon or Walmart or Gap or, wherever I shop, it's normally going to be something that I have found online because I hate to shop in person. But today I'm doing something a little different, and I'm throwing in some true crime. But I want to do that occasionally, especially if it's of special interest to me or someone in our community, or again, if it has a cult component to it. So with all of that, sorry, y'all, let's get started on this case. And it is so sad. If I laugh or seem inappropriate, it's just nerves. I have not slept a whole lot the last couple of nights, just thinking and thinking and thinking. And I didn't plan to do a video on this, but then I just thought, I'm just going to have to. I've gotten so many people that have contacted me, some of my YouTube friends, Facebook friends from all over the country and all over the world, and asked if this was close to me. And so I kind of felt like I needed to do this. So have y'all been hearing about the 2 Kansas moms who went missing in Oklahoma on March 30th? Sadly, it appears that their bodies were recovered yesterday after a 15-day search. The bodies have not, as of right now, been confirmed as Veronica Butler and Julian Kelly. But let's be real, y'all. There's little doubt that it's them, especially when you think about what the charges are and everything. There doesn't leave a whole lot of interpretation to it. So, and the guy from the FBI today said that there wasn't so much decom, you know, decomposition. Sorry, it's just a rough one, y'all. Brings me back to my newspaper days. So anyway, the bodies weren't completely, decomposed, so it should be able to be determined in pretty quick order. So anyway, I'm going to kind of start from the beginning, give you a little background on it, and circle back around to that the bodies have now been found, apparently. So Veronica Butler and Wrangler Rickman were together years ago, and they have a son and a daughter, ages 6 and 8. They've been in a bitter custody battle since 2021, but court records show that really the battle has been more between Veronica and Wrangler's mother, Tiffany Adams. I've got some examples. Wrangler actually showed on his social media pages that his mom had tried to steal the children from him on multiple occasions. And Wrangler is actually no angel himself. He was in jail for domestic violence or domestic assault against his now wife, Kirsten Melissa Renee Kistler. And then he was, I guess, when he got out on that, he was then arrested and in jail for 30 more days when he was caught with a firearm after having been convicted of a felony. And then on March 23rd, when he was released from that, he was taken straight from the jail to a rehab facility by his father. They didn't list his name. It's probably out there, but I couldn't find it listed. During all of this, Veronica lost custody of the children. And since Wrangler was in jail most of the time, his custody and visitation was transferred to his mother. Now, first of all, y'all, names like Wrangler and all that are real common in Oklahoma. We're a very Western rodeo community. I have a niece named Rietta and a nephew named Riggin, and it's very normal. And it is also normal, and I don't know about other states because all I can speak to is Oklahoma, but it is very normal here that if one of the parents either is in jail or something like that and can't see the children or just is unfit, that it will often be transferred. The visitation or custody even will be, in some situations, will be transferred to their parent or even a sibling. It kind of just depends. And that's right or wrong. I don't know. Sometimes I agree, sometimes I don't. But that's how it is here. So anyway, apparently Veronica had 2 strikes against her in the court, causing her to temporarily lose custody and overnight visitations with the kids. The first thing was that she moved out of state from Oklahoma to Kansas, which was a 45-minute drive from her former house to her new home. And she moved without permission from the father or the courts. So there was that. And then also she was accused of not protecting the children from her brother, who Wrangler accused of SAing the children. Now, it had not been proven, but that was the accusation. Just saying that. But there's several buts in this thing, I but this and that. Sorry. Court records show that Wrangler later said that his mother told him to make up a bunch of lies or she'd blow his brains out. And that's on the court records too. So it looked like that was probably the child SA thing had not been proven and was probably more than likely going to get dropped. And Wrangler married Kirsten Kistler on July 31st of 2023, and they share a child. And she has reportedly said that she too has had issues with the grandma trying to steal her child. So, yeah, there's that. Wrangler also said that his mother had tried to steal the children from him. So there's at least 3 children that reportedly grandma's trying to steal. So Veronica had complied with the court and was now seeking full custody, with a court filing on March 20th and a court appearance on April 17th, which obviously will now not happen. And she was seeking full custody at that upcoming court appearance. Reportedly, there had also been constant issues with the grandma canceling Veronica's Saturday 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. visits with her children and her refusal to reschedule. It had been going on for weeks. So she had been not seeing her children for a while. So DHS and the court appointed 4 separate individuals who could travel with Veronica to pick up the kids and also to supervise the visits due to the SA allegations, because they had not yet been dropped or anything. And they might have been true. I don't know. I'm just saying that they hadn't been proven. And he has now said that he made up a bunch of lies to keep from his mom blowing his brains out. Julian Kelly is the wife of the local pastor and the mother of 4, and she works with the DHS and was traveling with Veronica on March 30th to Oklahoma from Kansas to pick up the children, return to Kansas for a birthday party for the little girl, and then to return the children back to the grandmother that evening. But they never made it. Now, Julian's husband reportedly did say that she has a license to carry a gun and that she was carrying a weapon with her for her protection, because this was obviously a tense situation, which we'll go into more. What I don't understand is why, if it was that tense, that they weren't meeting at a police station or have a police officer there. I personally have been in a situation, not my own, but involved in a situation where the parents, both sides of the family, were arguing back and forth, and they had to meet in public and with a police officer. The police officer just pulled up behind the car, watched the exchange when they would pick up the kids, watched the exchange when they would drop off the kids. This happened every time, no issues. Eventually everything settled down and it stopped. Why wasn't that done? I'd like to know that, and we'll probably never know. But anyway, when the women did not return with the kids, Veronica's husband went searching, and he found the car deserted 3 to 4 miles away from the location where the meetup was scheduled to happen, which was a deserted convenience store / gas station that it sits right on the border, and they used to sell beer and stuff on Sundays, and Kansas didn't do it. So a lot of people came over from Kansas and bought beer there. And so it was quite a popular place at one point, but now that's not the case. I guess Kansas now sells beer on Sundays. And so it went out of business. So it's just a deserted gas station out in the middle of nowhere. And I just wanted to tell you that, y'all, the panhandle of Oklahoma is referred to as the wild, actually it's called the Wild Wild West. It's flat, it's dry. It's often considered to be lawless just because it's miles and miles between anything. I mean, there are police there, obviously, but a lot can happen when they're so far away. It's a breeding ground for fringe groups to live under the radar of law enforcement. Anyway, the husband called 911 when he discovered blood inside and puddles of blood outside the car, according to reports. I did see last night that I think it was the guy from the OSBI said that they tested the blood when they got there, and then they covered up the blood that was left on the road because they didn't want photographers and news people and looky-loos, basically, photographing the blood. Thank God. I can't hardly cover this. I can't imagine actually wanting to go take pictures of the blood. I never would have done that ever as a newspaper person. I didn't even cover suicides, and murders and stuff were not covered with, they were covered, but um, not graphically. Anyway, a long, exhaustive search with over 100 law enforcement officers from multiple states and agency went on from there. On Saturday, April 13th, 4 arrests were made in the case. Tiffany Adams, 54, the children's grandmother. Thad Cullum, 43, the grandmother's boyfriend. Cora Twombly, 44, and Cole Twombly, 50. They're a married couple. They've been married since 2015. The grandma apparently has a hog farm, and her boyfriend has a cattle farm, and they're both close to the location of where the car was found. And the Twombeys were said to live on Cullum's property. Cole Twombly, is the local butcher for people who hunt or raise animals for food. So if you've heard of him being called the butcher, it's because he is an actual butcher. But it's kind of creepy. Cullum's property, the boyfriend, is referred to as a compound by locals, and he's said to drive around hunting coyotes with an assault weapon. And this is gun country, y'all. I mean, folks out there know what a gun is. They know what an assault weapon is. They know these things. They're not just throwing these words out. They know what they're talking about. And Cullum is also said to have property in New Mexico, which, of course, people got to talking and saying New Mexico is really not that far away. They maybe should search his property in New Mexico, too. And the town they all live near, is tiny, y'all. It only has like a little over 270 residents. And to give you a little bit of a idea of Veronica, when she graduated from there, she was the one and only graduating senior. She's the only senior in her class. So, I mean, that area is desolate. You can't imagine. I've been through there, and it's like you're on the moon or something. It's flat. It's dusty. There's just nothing there. I don't know. You couldn't pay me to live there just because it's awful. I did actually get a scholarship to college from one of the OSU colleges out there, and I turned it down just because. No, thank you. Anyway, in an interesting turn of events, the 4 are part of a group who call themselves sovereign citizens. And they make it very clear that they do not respect law enforcement or follow man's laws. They're said to have several traffic tickets and just different things like that. And they refuse to pay them. They refuse to follow the rules or the laws of the world. And it was said that they generally cause locals to live in a state of fear because they're just mean. It's also said that they have extreme right-wing political beliefs. Now, I only mention that because it's part of the story. They said it. I believe there are extreme right-wing and left-wing people out there, and I don't think that the vast majority of us would identify with either side of that. So, I'm just saying it was mentioned. Several of the reporters from ABC, News Nation, there were CNN, there were a lot of news agencies around, and they said that it was just almost impossible to get anyone to even comment on the case Sorry, y'all. I've got my phone because we're expecting storms. And so if my daughter or my dad gets freaked out while I'm filming this, I'm going to, they'll call me. But anyway, they said that it's almost impossible to get anyone to even comment on the case. They were afraid to help search for the women, and they would not so much as speak the names of the family or friends involved. But on Saturday, more than 20 armored law enforcement vehicles descended on both farms, arresting the grandma at one and the Twombys and Colum at the other, without incident. The children were removed safely from the grandmother, and it's been said that they are with Veronica's dad. Now, I don't know that for a fact. That was what was on social media, but the FBI and OSBI both declined to comment on that. Kirsten, the wife of Wrangler, put a rest in peace post on social media saying that she knew Veronica and considered her a friend. They're probably allies since they're both fighting the same woman. Oh, that's another thing, y'all. When the car was found, they sealed all the court documents. So it's been almost impossible to get any updated information. I mean, you can just kind of piece things together, and then people that already had copies of it, like people that were kind of under the radar following it just because of the case before the disappearance and murders. So anyway, I am told that they're going to be back open today, but they said you have to actually go to the courthouse in Texas County, Oklahoma to get those, that they're not going to all be available online. Anyway, in another twist, the foursome are members of the cult God's Misfits, which is a small, nothing like Scientology, but it is across the country in several states, just small little groups of people who have very extreme beliefs in politics and in God. And it's a cult, y'all. I mean, I don't know. That's what everybody's saying, is it's a cult. And we know what that is. And we know how hard that is to prove, but But the boyfriend, Colum, is reportedly the pastor of the local group and holds services at his compound. So there's that too. A social media search that I did didn't show any direct evidence that I could find that they are involved in the cult. But there are several Christian type posts and scripture on their social media accounts, and several members of the community did say that they are, and that was yet another reason that they were scared of them. Between the guns and the cult and the extreme political beliefs, they were scared of them. And to top it all off, y'all, court records, which I said have been sealed for right now, but are supposed to be opened back up today, show, and this says it's on the court records, y'all, that the grandmother, Tiffany Adams, said if custody returns to Veronica, bodies will start to hit the ground. The four are being held on 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and also conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. They are currently being held without bond. Any of that could change. More charges could be added. Some could be dropped, whatever. Bond could be added. I hope not. I'm just, as of right now, about 15 minutes before I went live. So on Sunday, 2 bodies believed to belong to the missing women were found in an extremely remote area of Texas County, Oklahoma. OSBI and FBI would not comment on any potential confessions or help with locating the bodies at this time. And they have been moved to the Oklahoma State Coroner's Office for autopsies and to be completely identified and everything, because even though they said that the remains were not in such a way that they could not be identified, they still have to do it officially. So anyway, My thoughts and prayers are with the children, especially, and also Veronica and Julian's family and all their friends. And this is just heartbreaking to me, y'all. And the fact that it hit, it's in Oklahoma, just hit so hard. And it's not close to me, thank God. Sets of issues. My screen went black for a second. I hope everything's okay. We're going to get some weather, I think. But it says it's recording. I wanted to show you. Hold on. In case you missed it on the thumbnail, this is the two women that have now been murdered. They believe they were shot and then dumped or something. This is the grandmother. She looks to have really aged in the last 2 years. A lot of her Facebook pictures, she looks very attractive, actually, and she looks rough here. I hope that's just the beginning of how rough she looks myself. This is her boyfriend. In most of the Facebook pictures you'll see of him, he doesn't have the long beard, but he does have a beard. This is the other woman involved. We don't know what any of them's role in the murder was, but there's her and her husband. Whoops, sorry. Her husband, it did it again. Y'all, I'm sorry. Trying to go slow. Her husband, who appears to be smiling or, smirking. Let's make him famous. What the hell is funny, dude? At least the grandmother has I don't know what, but to look upset. I'm not showing the kids, but again, this is the two women that were senselessly murdered and their bodies disposed of like trash. A 27-year-old mother of two and a 39-year-old, I believe, mother of four. And they're just gone. So, anyway, I'm going to check the chat and we're going to see what y'all have to say. I'm going to actually do it on my phone where I can maybe see it easier. Okay. Maya says, hey. She says, I'm looking smashing today. Thank you. And yes, oh my God, yes, the moms. Gary Mackey says it's such a sad and weird story. It is, isn't it? And I just think it's going to get weirder as we go, as we find out if they make any kind of statements or confessions. I just think it's going to get more and more bizarre. Maya says, those poor children. Can you imagine? I hope the dad's not involved. I mean, he can be a bad guy, I mean, I'm not giving him a pass. He beat the hell out of his wife. And he had a gun. I don't know what he was doing with the gun, but he probably never thought he'd get caught out there. I mean, y'all just, it's desolate. Okay. Like picture the moon, y'all. I mean, seriously, it's, but just because he's a bad guy doesn't mean he's a murderer, and time will tell if he had anything to do with it. I hope he didn't. I would just hate that for the children. It's going to be bad enough to know that their grandmother was in on the murder of their mother, but to know their dad was too would be even more horrific. Marla says it's awful. Exactly, Maya. At least they should have sent a big scary guy with them to pick up the kids. I don't know who the other three that could go with her were, or why they didn't go, or what the deal was. I just, I'm telling you though, the courts in Oklahoma, they don't take that stuff serious. They are starting to have to a little bit, I think, but I don't know, maybe the courts and the police and everything there, they might have been scared of those people too. I mean, I don't know. I know that the judge, I think, is now under um 24-hour security. I don't know from who. I don't know. It just gets more and more bizarre as we go on, and scary, and I hope they lock these people up and throw away the key, and maybe if there's anybody else involved, I hope they get them too, and then maybe these people in this town can breathe. Because just because they live there doesn't make them bad people. They just happen to live there. And these people come in and, you know, crazy. Pup groomer 20 says, hey, hey. Marla says, hey, Jen. Oh, I shared on Natalie's chat about your signs and cards this morning. People were very thankful. Yeah, I saw that. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh, they need to get that from Jen. And then I saw yours. I was like, okay. So Gary says, I was a foster parent for years. It was fairly common for the custodial parents to allege SA to prevent visits, which usually result events spiraling out of control. And the children would show up at his home. Yeah, it's awful. I know of some pretty scary cases, and have, not been involved personally, but I've been involved in some cases that were pretty scary. Not with SA, but with just abuse. And it is scary. And it is scary for one parent to allow the children to go with the parent that they're afraid of. And yet the courts will force the parent to send the children, or they'll go to jail. And so much of the time it's a blessing when they do end up in foster care. And I know there's terrible foster homes out there, but thank God there's some good ones too, because these poor kids, which right now I guess they're with the grandpa. I hope the police wouldn't confirm it. They just said that they were safe. Susan P says, hello everybody, or hey everybody. Yeah. Said that they sealed the files to protect the children when they went out there. Yeah. I kind of wish they'd keep them sealed, or they probably will seal some of it or redact a lot of it. Because I mean, once it hits trial, the pictures and everything will be horrendous. And I hope that they redact those and just, or seal them. You wouldn't believe the stuff that I could get as a newspaper. And you don't want it. Julie is saying hi to everyone, that she was just getting here. You'll have to catch up on the replay. It's not a real long one, but it's a hard one for me to do. Kathy Mitchell says she finally caught alive. Sending love to you. Such a sad story. I can't even begin to imagine the horror. I know it. You guys, it's just horrible. Horrible. And that, I mean, the poor mom, but my heart really goes out to Julian also, because she didn't really have a dog in the fight. She's just doing her job, and she's gone now. And when my daughter has to send her boys with their dad and they don't want to go, it makes your heart crack a little more. That is true. Susan P says that is sad. Yes, it is sad. We had a situation like that, and thankfully it rectified itself. Everything is great now. He's out of the picture completely, and it didn't result in any kind of tragedy. But you guys, this one is just, it's awful. And like I said, it's a hard one for me to do, but it happened here. It happened in Oklahoma. And then whenever I saw that there's a cult involved in it, it just, I couldn't quit thinking about it because, we don't have any Scientology orgs in Oklahoma. There used to be one in Enid, but it's closed down. And so we don't have any here, but that doesn't mean we don't have cults here. And these little fringe groups, they really hide under the radar. Scientology is so out there. I mean, they have Super Bowl ads, y'all. They're not even trying to hide. But these little groups do hide. And they scare the crap out of people with their crazy beliefs, their religious beliefs, their political beliefs, all of it. And they're out there living amongst us, they're just walking amongst us. If you go in a cafe, you might be sitting next to some kind of crazy cult members. I mean, and I'm talking crazy because this is crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And it makes me sick. Yeah, it is good news that we're not involved with that anymore. Oh, wow. I have to hide under the bed. Yeah. Mine said that he would rather die than go back. And that was rough. That was really rough. And they're so happy now, guys. They are so happy now. They have such an amazing life now. And thank God, thank God it didn't turn into something like this. Because that was my fear. That was my mama/grandma fear, is that it would turn into something like this. And so when this story came up, it just felt like it just kicked me in the guts, and I've been following it, but really trying not to obsess over it. But I mean, it was in Oklahoma, so I'm following it, of course. That, my oldest grandson said that too, Susie. And that is the biggest fear. Absolutely. The cult doesn't have footholds in South Carolina, but they definitely have cults. I am under the impression that everybody does. I'm telling you, this world is just getting crazier and crazier. And I know that like, almost sounds touche at this point. So many people say that kind of thing, but it's true. I don't know what is going on, but we've just got some craziness that goes on, and it's worldwide. It's not, it's not stuck in the South or the East or the West or, anywhere. It's or even this country. It's worldwide. But it just seems like that our country just sure has a lot of meanness. Just meanness. I don't like it. I have several shirts that just say "Be kind," and it sounds so silly and so, but it's the truth. It just, being kind doesn't cost anything, and it doesn't have a religious belief behind it or a political belief behind it. Anybody can just be kind. And I don't know. I have so many stories of court proceedings involving my foster kids. Almost all the kids aged out and have done very well with their lives, but a couple, the trauma was just too much. Oh, it's heartbreaking, Gary. Absolutely heartbreaking. I can't imagine. I just absolutely cannot imagine. Mark and I had talked about becoming foster parents because we feel so blessed. We have such a good life, and we have, our house is big enough, everything. I mean, it would be great, but I have just fought about the time that we got our kids raised and everything. Then I started fighting breast cancer. And I just didn't feel like that was, I mean, I'd probably be excluded from even being able to when I was in the midst of fighting breast cancer. And that's basically went on for 13 years. So it's probably not in the cards for us, but I absolutely support those that do, and I think that you're angels. The ones that can do it and that do it, I think that you're absolute angels. Lori B says, hello, all. Pup Groomer says, Marla Dillard, thank you. Had a dog in the tub, so it took me a second. I also uploaded some stickers last night and a couple more protest flyers. Yay, you are so awesome. You, Jen, oh, girl. Kathy Mitchell has pins that say be kind and hands them out at work. Exactly. I used to hand a bunch out too. When we had the newspaper, I was constantly giving out pins and stuff. Gary Mackey, it is, I can only imagine that it's one of the hardest jobs you'll ever do. I absolutely applaud you. And I know for every bad story that we hear, there are hundreds of good ones. And it's like the police or anything else. It's sad that we hear the bad stories and we don't hear the good stories. And it's, it's just awful. It's just awful. And these poor kids, 6 and 8. And I mean, it was the little girl's birthday. I'm just like, I'm assuming she was 7 and turned 8 that day, but maybe she turned 6 that day. Maybe she was 5 and turned 6 that day, or maybe she was 6 and turned 7. I don't know, but still. Oh, Susan P says that they adopted their kids and they were foster parents. That is awesome. That is so awesome. I absolutely commend you guys. I really do. I just can't say enough good about that. Yes, he does. Your lawyer friend Zach has merch that says be kind to someone. That's his saying for his channel. You know, he is such a nice guy. I need to get a hold of him. We were talking about hiring him to do a little bit of legal work for us, and I kind of like to, pass it on to somebody that's good and kind and supports the SBTV community. And so, yes, it does. The closing screen on my video says choose kindness. See, we're just all out there. That, it just might stick with somebody. I mean, maybe not, but it might. You never know. Zach is such a kind guy. Funny too. Yes, he is. He is very funny, and he loves his wife and kids. I just really love that about him. I did not realize he's like 6'7" or something like that. 6'7", 6'8", something like that. He's huge, so tall. I didn't get it. I didn't know it. Which I come from a tall family. I'm 5'5", 5, maybe almost. Well, I probably was 5'6", but as I'm older, I'm closer to 5'5" now. But I'm the shorty in the family, other than one daughter. My daughter Katie, she's a little bit smaller than me, about 5'4", somewhere in there. But growing up, I was substantially shorter than even my younger siblings. So my mom was like 5'9". My dad's 6'4", 6'5", something like that. My brother's now 6'4", 6'5". My sister was like 5'10" or something. She passed away. I'll have to tell that story sometime. It's a sad one. She was on that fin diet and took it for like a month, 6 weeks, something like that, and had a seizure and died instantly. So I'll have to tell that story. So anyway, in addition to a couple sets of kids, we were an emergency home since we were in the middle of BFE. Never knew when kids would show up, maybe stay a couple days, sometimes longer. That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I didn't know he was that tall either. her 16-year-old grandson is 6'3". Yeah, my he's 15 and he's probably 6'2" or something, but his father was like 6'8". So he's got tall genes. But anyway, guys, I'm going to have to get off of here. I'm going to have to get back to watching the weather. It's getting more and more humid. I'm sitting here sweating. I'm going to have to get me a menopause fan like Natalie. And going to have to get something to eat and everything in case we end up in the, what we call the Frady hole, end up in the cellar later. I'm hoping not. We're supposed to have some chances of bad weather coming up this afternoon and all night, basically. So I'm going to go. I love you guys. I'm still planning on the get to know each other video. I just wanted to get this one out and done with. And then we can hopefully have fun before anybody does any more vlogs. We ought to have a few days, right? Yeah. Yeah, stay safe. I will. Be safe. Love you all. I'm going to go. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you all for being here. I love you all. Thanks.